Well, thank you, Craig. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jane, Deborah, Mary, Sandy, Coach Bob, Melody, Deb, Bill, CJ, the master of ceremonies. I love and appreciate you guys. Wow. Talk about a download today. Are you guys ready? Um, Today, the subject is money. 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 Now, when I say that, does any of you get like the ding, 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 money? It's like a little bit of Pink Floyd. I think it is, or money for
It
nothing.
is.
Money for nothing. Isn't that
That's Dire Straits.
Dire Straits? There you go. So, anyway, the reason I want to cover this subject is after I say the word money, what are your thoughts on money? Because I want you guys to understand that we always talk about TV, movies, everything, and we talk about programming. And inside this programming, I always tell people, Craig used to say this was one of his favorites, is when I was in front of the room, I would always press the eject because some of us can remember DVD and Blu-ray players, right? And the disc would pop out and I'd pull that out and put a new one in. So so we always are, everything that's electronic is always updating, right? Get the newest update. And I just want to tell you guys all that when I first met my mentor, not only did I tell you guys about him having me read The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino, and again, I get to give a shout out to Mary. Thank you very much. I got one of the original copies. And in this book, and we have a series on it too, it's just very, when you think about how you think about money. And so the reason that my mentor knew it was important for me to read that book is because everything that the world bases value on, I didn't have. So what I mean by that is dyslexic, not the sharpest tool in the shed, not, big academic, degrees and PhDs and all this stuff. And, I think sometimes growing up in a rural area versus a city sort of gives you maybe not a leg up, right? And so there was all this stinking thinking that I had. But not only stinking thinking, but listen to this phrase. I need to make this phrase on one of my doctor pictures is you'll never become what you resent. You'll never become what you resent. So my family was super, 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 super poor. If you guys lived in any city and people said, hey, those are the people, the place where you have to wait to get on a list. We lived in oh my God, the house was so awful. It was about ready to fall down. And, I can remember as a kid getting these notices on our house that we got evicted from our house because it was falling. It was like cratering. And because someone never really took care of the foundation or anything, when the snow started to melt, it would just fill our basement full of water. And it's like you'd open up the door of the basement and there was water there. So, of course, it just kept, ruining everything. So I remember that we had to get on whatever that is, home assistance, you know what I mean? Where all the people that didn't have any money had assisted homes. And that was the area that I grew up in after having the house condemned. That was the word that I was looking for. And so it was always the wrong side of the tracks for me. But here's what I remember growing up saying is there was another part of the town which was called Snob Hill. Have you guys ever heard that phrase? Snob Hill, right? And I do understand when they do these 99 1% rallies. Remember that? That was a long time ago where they did 99 against the 1% Wall Street people. Because when you drove through those areas and seen people with multiple acres of land and a home that set like a mile away from the road with a big gate And my stinking thinking, because I learned this programming from other people, is, no one needs a piece of land that big. No one needs that big of a home. No one needs that many cars. No one needs that many homes. And of course, with my stinking thinking, I would say, wow, instead of buying all these cars, couldn't they give a lot of money to charity and take care of people that are hungry and don't have homes and they're homeless? I remember saying all of that because I was just regurgitating what people around me said, right? So again, if you want to be financially free and not have to ever go to a job just over broke, that's what job stands for, right? But I grew up that it was very simple to be successful. It's very simple. All you needed to do is do what you're told, right? Go to school, get good grades. I messed up there. And then what you need to do is get a job and work really, really, really hard. And if you work really hard, that's how you become successful. Now, how many people do you know still have that programming? When they proved years ago, I'm saying 20 years ago, they proved that, I think it'd be neat to AI this, Craig, if you wanted to. But it was at one time 80%, I believe, when LinkedIn puts all this job stuff out. Listen to this. 80% of the people that graduated with the degree was not using that degree to earn money. And all of a sudden, 20 years ago, they would say that an average person, by the time they retire, had, I think it was 7 different careers. It wasn't that a person got a degree and changed jobs. No, they were totally changing total career paths. So in California, I used to always do these presentations and I'd ask everybody, how many people in the room have a degree? And it blew my mind in California because it was like, it always seemed to be 50% of the people that had a degree. And then I would ask, how many people are currently using that degree to earn an income for you and your family? And it'd be like 5 hands. And go ahead, Craig. What's the stat that you have?
All right, I've got 3 bullets here. A survey found that only 46% of college graduates report working in the field of their major. One report showed that 52% of recent bachelor's degree holders were underemployed, working in jobs that don't typically require a bachelor's degree 1 year after graduation. And the same report found that 45% were still in such underemployment 10 years out.
Wow. And so the reason that I bring this up is, would you agree that your thoughts about money could really make a huge difference in the way that you not only go through the world, but attract? So because of where I grew up, a lack of education, all of this stuff, that's where I knew I got I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. It's like you even have these stupid things when someone tries to give you something and right away you're like, why do you think I need that because of charity? It's like your pride and your ego gets so out there. It's like, no, I was just wanting to help you out. Well, I'm not poor, Yeah, I am. But it's like you would say stuff like that. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Corky. Hi, Jim. Nice to have you guys on here. But I want you guys to really think about how you think about money. Right? Because most people, I know you guys have probably heard this, but most people set their goals and with their imagination so low that they hit it. And I would say that the majority of people that will watch this video recorded, and even some that are on here now, you guys don't realize that your definition of money is every month you're pulling off your imagination. Because your imagination is, I need enough to pay my bills. And the universe is like, your wish is my command. It's like not being debt free, right? So I remember that my mentor, not only when he proved to me that I was a miracle and that I was enough and I was deserving and I was worthy, only then when I changed that programming is when I started to ask. You guys catch this? It's like, listen, I deserve it. And when you really, really think about money, here's another way to think is you're nothing but a vessel anyway. My belief is God created everything. So did he create the internet? Yeah, and it's a tool. Some people use the tool for bad things, right? So did God create money? If you really go back and look at the history of money, do you know what was really rare before gold? Salt. Salt was currency. So when I could see Jim and talk about Jim, I could say that Jim is salt of the earth. Have you guys ever heard that phrase? Because salt was very valuable. And why it was valuable is because people used it for seasoning. Everyone knew that you could use salt on food and actually make it taste better, but you also could use salt to be able to preserve things before they came up with all these preservatives. Now, who came up with the idea of saying, well, now I think that gold is worth more money. I think that silver is worth more money. If you guys ever think of these concepts, and I want you to, because how many of you have heard of things being auctioned, and when you find out what it is, remember, I don't know if you guys heard of it, but a piece of art, a banana taped on a wall or taped on a piece of cardboard, and I forgot how much it went. And so what's the phrase for people that don't get it? Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Well, I don't think that banana duct taped to a piece of cardboard is worth millions of dollars. But when you think about, I remember my wife said this one time, and when I was young, I always said, man, I would like a 69 Z28 RS Camaro, and she was like, really? And so we went to a car show one time, and there was one that was just mint condition. It was like just unbelievable. And my wife goes, 1969? Who would pay 50 grand for an old car? How many of you get it? And my wife is a character. You already know Terry's a character. And so one time one of our friends said, let's go antique hunting and then go to this auction. And Terry's like, who wants to buy used stuff? I don't know. That's stupid. Why would you want to buy people's used stuff? But isn't that crazy when you hear what a baseball goes for or a stamp goes for? I think Craig posted it. What was it, Craig? How much for that banana?
$6.2 million at art auction.
Find a picture of it. I just think that would be funny. Anyway, when we say banana duct tape, that's the first thing that pops in my mind is, so you put a banana in a tailpipe? Little Beverly Hills Cop. Those are the things that go through my mind, right? But I want you guys to think a little bit about some of the thoughts or programming you have around money, because I remember hearing and saying these things, right? So it was like, Craig's already got it. Now, was it duct taped to a wall?
Yes.
But you didn't get the wall.
No, you just got the duct tape and the banana. And the glory for doing it.
Yeah, of course. And it was somebody that had way too much Bitcoin. I remember something like that. So now going back, watch the things that we say to ourselves, right? So I remember saying, oh my God, Do you know how long it would take to mow that yard? Robert, they have gardeners. They have landscapers. They pay people to do that. But that's not what I thought at the beginning. I would say something like that, and everyone around me goes, I know, right? Yeah, I got all this affirming stuff that this person was stupid for having a beautiful piece of property. Can I get a yes or a yes? Right? And then the other one is like, look at that home, how big it is. God, how long would it take to clean it? Yeah, they're not cleaning that house. They have people that clean that house. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? It's like, wow, I wonder what it costs, how much to wash all those, car wash all those cars. You know, so I'm not bragging here, but when I got in places of my life to always hire people that seem to have a lot of pride and they seem to do things better than I did. You know, I had this company that would come over to our house and wash our cars in our own driveway. And there is no way I could ever clean a car that good. No way, right? And so you think of other things, right? Where people already say, you know, well, you can't have multiple homes. That's stupid. You know what I mean? You can't live in both of them. But think about the things that you know that people say about that. And then do you still think that way? Because again, you'll never become what you resent. So if you resent people that have money and you resent people that are always on vacation, so that's another one, right? It's like I used to tell people all the time, you know, because it's really all about freedom. Hi, Jim. It's really all about freedom. And so I would tell people all the time, they go, well, I'm doing great. And I said, listen, what if I would gift you right now? I want to give you this gift. You get to take you and your entire family. I'll give you 5 people, unless you have more. But I'll pay for first class airplane tickets for your entire family. We're going to go to, you know, Hawaii. And what we're going to do is I'll pay for everything, the meals, the rooms, everything. But there's just one catch. And they go, what's the catch? I go on vacation for a month. Well, I can't get that much time off. You just explained to me a lack of freedom. Are you guys following me on this? And so a lot of people have these thoughts in their mind or programming about money. Well, let's step over to another side, right? People, and you guys can type things in here, stuff that you know that are just coming up in your programming as I'm talking about money, right? I've said to people, man, you know what? Look it, I'm making, 141,000 last month. And they've looked at me and go, I can't imagine what it would cost to pay taxes on that. And I would always say, what is your guess of the highest tax? Well, and they're wrong, it's like they're totally wrong. Well, they go 60%. And I said, so I give the government 60% and I only keep 40,000 for this month? Oh, I guess I never really looked at it that way. But it's always the reason that we have money is like, oh my God, have you heard that the more money you have, the more problems you have? All right. How about this one? They make us pick. Don't you love these people? So Sandy says, oh my God, I want to make money. Well, Sandy, you got to pick one. You either love your family or you love money. You got to pick one. It's like, I'd rather, Sandy goes, give me the money. Terry actually says that all the time. She says, I married Robert because of his money. I learned to love him. You know what I mean? But she knew me. We dated when I was a mechanic. So but maybe I had money then, probably. But the whole thing is, people have these things that think that, money doesn't buy happiness. Right? Well, neither does poverty. So money doesn't buy happiness, but poverty doesn't buy happiness, right? And how many of you would like to honestly be brutal here? How many of you think that you're well-adjusted adults that you need to make this decision on your own? So you learn to make an abundance of money, and then if it's not for you, you can quit. I got to stop this thing that's making me so much money. So, but the whole thing that when people say, well, family's more important than money. And I always say, well, who said I had to pick? Why can't I have both? Well, you shouldn't spoil your children. They're my children. So when you really, really think about all the things that we think about money, you need to start to understand that it's just a tool. That if more money came to you, would you be a vessel? And that money would come to you and out of you to help other people. Now, let me explain to you right now if money would change you, because a lot of people have programming that if I had money, it would change me. Here's how I can give you a neat example, because every one of you have had times in your life where you had more than enough. Got maybe a bonus, something, right? Well, if you're the kind of person that has more than enough money, got a big IRS check back or whatever, are you the kind of person that immediately starts buying gifts for people? Are you a person that immediately calls up, hey, Mary, get your husband, we're going out to eat? Are you that person? It's like the extra amount of money that comes to you is immediately disappeared because you just give it, right? So when I met my mentor and he started helping me reprogram myself, he said, Robert, the definition of a budget is always make more than you can spend. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but they changed the tax laws. Now you can give away 60% of your income and write it off on your taxes. It used to be 44%. Now it's 60. So how many of you guys now go, well, I figured out how to live off this much. If I doubled that, I could live the same, but I could give that same amount away to people that need it. Like orphans. You guys might have seen this post in the middle of all the crazy posts for me. Jesus Way, all the orphans that I take care of. They just did a fundraiser where they raised money because this is once a year during Thanksgiving and Christmas is where they get new uniforms. And I'll never forget this story. I'll tell it to you quick. Angel and Matthew reached out to me and said, we had one little girl that said to us, this is a few years ago, but she said, I really, really am so grateful and happy for the new uniform, but I wish that all of us girls didn't have to wear the same color. And so even though you're getting free uniforms, isn't it something that if you could pick between three, yellow, red, or blue, that you actually got to pick it? And so they reached out to me, and that's what we did. So that was our first year for the boys and the girls that we came out with 3 different colors, and then they all got to pick the colors that they want. And it was like, so I know that some of you hear the other parts of programming of money. Have you ever heard that it gives you more joy and love to give than receive? Well, don't you need extra money to do that? I have a lot of cool trophies and plaques behind me. The trophies that were given to me without my knowledge for the money I've given to charity, they're the ones that made the biggest difference. It's like, are you kidding me? I got acknowledgement for being the #1 charity person for that year for a charity. So the reason I wanted to do the subject on money is because it's so basic. It's so basic, but if we don't change our mind about it, then it's always going to be the same. So one of the reasons I wanted to bring up money is because there's this other concept that I learned called leverage, and another concept called residual. See, a lot of people will see the kind of income that I earn, and they go, the very first thing, I'm not willing to work that hard. See, that's why they believe that I'm sacrificing my belief in God, and I'm sacrificing my family. Because in their mind, the only way that I can make $1 million plus a year is if I'm working all the time. Do you guys get this? It's like I don't have any time for my personal self, my hobbies, my God, my belief, or my family because I'm working too hard. So this is where my mentor gets me again. As he says, Robert, he said, you know how I made $62,000 last month? I go, how? Hi, Molly, welcome. I go, how? And he says, I have 32,000 people responsible for my income. Sorry, 30,000. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, all these 30,000 people buy products from a company that helps them with their health, and the company gives me a little bit of every purchase. And I remember saying this like yesterday. It was 39 years ago. I go, wait a minute. You make all that money by helping other people out? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I'm listening. So the other part of it that blew me away is that he said, Robert, listen, let's say you go out and get 3 customers and they love the product and you only get 3 customers in a month. He says, now if you do it next month and you get 3 customers, you get paid on 6. And I was like, no, you get paid on 3. He goes, no, you get paid on the 3 from last month because they're repurchasing this month. I was like, wow. And he goes, the next month, let's say you got 3. And I got it right away. So now how many customers? 9? And he goes, just imagine if you just did this over a period of time. Because he didn't know right then who he was talking to. He didn't know if he was talking to the customer getter, the person that would never get the understanding of leverage. Because people that have leverage have a lot of people that like getting customers. So this little concept, you guys, for 39 years, I've built groups of millions and millions of people. My largest group was 758,000 active members. And that equated to $2 billion a year. And I got a small percentage of it. So when you guys see sometimes, the concepts of money, and here's another one I want to give you, is that if you read any success book out there, any book, including the Bible, because there's a lot of people that still probably will have mental thoughts in their mind about, I don't know where this programming came from, but the meek will inherit the earth. Have you guys heard that? Then why are the other promises out there? Why is there other scriptures that you'll know my people by their fruit? Did he expect you not to have fruit? That I give you riches, I give you abundance. So I'm going to go through for just really quickly, again, Google this and AI this, but top classic money quotes, Napoleon Hill. The only limitation is the one that you set in your own mind. Are any of you freaking out right now? I don't care if you have the best mentality and programming and spirituality and understanding about money. when you hear that Elon Musk got $1 trillion package to be the CEO for Tesla, isn't there a part of you going, what? Because 99% of the people on the planet believe that no one should be paid that much. But wait a minute, he's already worth over 500 billion. Well, there is teaching on this. Again, if you think that someone shouldn't have that kind of money, then that also means you. Who gets to pick how much people should really be worth? But if people knew what money really is, that's only dots and zeros. I mean, that guy can't go down and take 500 billion out of the bank. He doesn't need to. So here's Jim Rohn. Don't wish for it to be easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Zig Ziglar. Money isn't everything, but it ranks up there next to oxygen. Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about. Works for money, success, happiness, and everything. Robert Kiyosaki. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Warren Buffett. The best investment in the world is yourself. Money flows to value, increase your value, and increase your income. I remember, I don't know if it'll be in here, but Earl Schoaf would always do this to Jim Rohn. And he'd tell Jim Rohn, you need to go to this seminar. You need to go to this training. And he says, I can't afford gas or meals or a hotel stay. I can't even afford the seminar. And he would say, you can't afford not to. And then Jim Rohn would get upset with him and go, I don't care what you say. I don't have the money. And he goes, why? And he said, this is my check. This is all they give me. And he goes, are you telling me that there's nobody at your job that gets paid more than you? And he goes, no, there's people that work for my company that make more than me. He says, you need to find out why. And I'll tell you why. They're more valuable than you. You need to learn to become more valuable. Okay? Wealth is a mindset long before it becomes a bank balance. Wealth is a mindset long before a bank balance. Money multiplies for the disciplined and disappears for the distracted. Yeah, I asked AI to just throw me up some other ones. Like, money multiplies for the disciplined and disappears for the distracted. If you don't manage money, you'll always be managed by money. Wow. Money follows mastery. You get paid for your value you bring, not the time you spend. How many people do you guys know believe that they should be paid based on the time that they spend? And another thing is, how many people know people that do just as little as possible and want more money, and they want to get more prompted, right? They want to get more promotions. So these are biblical and faith-based quotes. Proverbs 10:22. The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. So some people believe in the Bible, and some people believe that the Bible and the words in the Bible are true. How could they possibly think that meeks means you're broke, but yet there's a promise in Proverbs 10:22 says the blessings of the Lord is to make you rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. Now, I'll tell you the first thing I think of when I read that. The first thing I think of is there's a lot of different definitions of rich for a human being, right? Rich in freedom, rich in peace, joy, rich in their family, right? Here's one. Faith grows your vision, wisdom grows your wealth. Wow. Money is a tool, not a master. Put God first and money follows. God doesn't mind that you have money. He minds money having you. I remember, the love of money is the root of all evil. Can I tell you guys a quick story? I'll never forget this. When I started really using, not only asking God, but wanting to help other people become free, financially free, quit their job. When I focus on that, some of the money that was coming in, I had to do some more reprogramming because the money was coming in and then I paid down debt and I was debt free. And then more money come in and I did get some nicer houses and some nicer cars. And then more money came in and our family traveled all over the world. Then more money came in, and of course, all this time I'm giving money to charity, but now I'm giving big hunks to charity. And then all of a sudden it became, I'm really not worthy again. My whole mindset, my spirit, my soul had to go through, I don't think anybody's worth 80 grand a month, 100 grand a month, $180,000 a month, 281,000 a month. It was like, dang, you know what I mean? This is getting pretty crazy. And right then and there is when I then realized that I just had to find ways to give more. So here's the thing that I want to share with you guys that really will get you. I promise it will get you. Because now I set my imagination based on my giving, not my income. I used to say it'd be cool to make six figures. It'd be cool to make $500,000. It'd be cool to make $1 million. Well, as soon as I said it would be cool to give $100,000 a year, it would be awesome to give $500,000 a year. It'd be cool to give $1 million a year. When I started doing that is when everything changed for me. But here's something that I want you to really listen to. It's powerful. So the love of money is the root of all evil. What if I told you I believed that scripture? Listen closely. Have any one of you been in a bad financial situation? When you're in a bad financial situation, how much time do you spend a day thinking about money? Does it keep you awake? Are you thinking about it all day? Is it keeping you up at night? When you say the love of money is when you don't have it. You spend all of your time trying to think how I'm going to get this money. How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to pay for my taxes? You spend more time thinking about money than you think about God. When you don't have money. How many of you have ever been in a place where you've had a little bit of abundance of money? You spend no time thinking about it. When you got money and things are paid and your debt's covered, now you're looking at your savings, then the only time that you think about money is when your cash flow changes. Because you got this thing in your mind that's going, well, if I'm spending the way I am and I'm not putting money in, I'm like 8 years away and I'm in trouble. And so understand the root of evil. If the root of evil is the love of money, I'm saying to you that I figured out the time that I spent the most time thinking about money is when I didn't have it. Because when I have money, I don't think about it. I even did some crazy stuff, not bragging. But do you guys know that you can pay things a year in advance? You can pay your utilities a year in advance. You can put up a bond for your car insurance and your home insurance. And then the state has to pay you taxes on the bond that you put up. Imagine everything you have is not only on debit, monthly debit, but an accountant is watching your account while money is going in it. And so all you have is a card and you can buy anything you want. Now, I'm not bragging, but any one of you could ask me right now, Robert, what's your cell phone bill? What's your electric bill? What's your natural gas bill? I do not know what anything costs. I don't care. It just gets paid. And some of you would go, well, what happens if your electric bill doubles? I wouldn't know it. Wouldn't you like that kind of peace of mind and joy? So I'm just giving you guys a little higher imagination, right? Another funny one. If you don't like where you live, you can just lease houses and pay the lease a year in advance and just go stay there for a while. How many of you would like to take your whole family and just go someplace and just stay for a year? Stay for 6 months. I'm telling you, it's all this. And then guess what? It's a tax write-off. I know that's not fair, but I didn't set the rules. Why is everyone in Congress and the Senate a multimillionaire? Because they set up the rules. And my accountants and CPAs know how to play that game. It's not my fault. Don't get mad at me. So now the last part I wanted to share with you guys is the whole concept of just if you really truly thought that you were in the service of others. So the way to greatness is the service of many. And I've shared this with you guys when I first got involved in being an entrepreneur. Someone told me that I needed to come up with an audacious dream, something, think as big as you can, the art of thinking big. And what I said is I'm going to do my best for the rest of my life to outgive God. That was the biggest one I could think of. And I'm really badly failing. Right? But it is the thing that I'm shooting for. And so once I figured out this game, and I went from struggling, making $35,000 a year as an auto mechanic, to making millions a year, I will spend the rest of my life making sure that I get other people there. I got at least 68 people that have reached out to me and said, the reason that I've made millions is because of you. Melody's number 55. You can see it on her hat. So it's not surprising to me when we jump in something new that she's ranking advancing. How many people think that you'll see her go gold pretty soon? You know how she can go gold? Is the people that are under her, that are here, go silver. She went silver, you go silver, she goes gold. So I wanted to teach this because money is very, very important. It's very, very important. Everyone acts like it's not important, but isn't the number one thing they're saying right now in the America politics is that the number one thing is coming down to affordability? I think it's a pretty interesting word. Now, I don't know why these people take so long to figure it out. But do you realize that some of these politicians have just figured out that if they tell us that the stock market is awesome, they tell us that the country is making more money than ever before, that everyone is happy, they still don't understand how that doesn't equate to us going to the grocery store. So how many people, regardless of your belief, are sort of sick and tired of people that have money telling us that we're okay? I got to be careful here because I are one of those people. Just not a politician. Understood? But the cost of living is really interesting, whether you like Bill Gates or not. Bill Gates had this quote, and maybe Craig will check on it, and then we might not have to keep giving him credit for it. But Bill Gates, I believe, said the quote that if you currently are not doing well financially and you're not free, it's all right to blame the way that you were programmed, including the way your parents and your grandparents were programmed. Your school teachers are programmed. It's okay to be a victim and point at those people for who you are today. Now that I'm going to show you the internet, now it's your fault. Because if you're not changing your values and you're not changing your program and you're not figuring out what makes other people successful, that's your fault. See, that's when you got to take personal responsibility that if I find someone that's already figured out, why don't I just hang around them, learn what they know, apply what they do, and get myself free, really free. So I wanted to do this video because it's pretty obvious that I found a new vehicle that does leverage and residual. And I never ever dreamt that I would be in an industry for 39 years and then find like the Holy Grail. It's like messing me up a little bit. But God does have some good timing, right? Never have I ever been involved with a company where I can reach out to anybody and say, listen, I don't care what you're doing. You and your family need to be on this product. Watch these videos. I posted today a video on my Facebook where it was a doctor doing a Zoom for doctors. Never, ever have I ever seen a Zoom where a doctor's talking to other doctors, educating the doctors why they got to put their patients on this product. That's nuts to me. So we're not going to get everybody, but what a way to build residual. Again, the way to greatness is helping others. So that's my deal. I want you to reprogram yourself in your thinking about money. The one I love to give you is just say, you know, I'm going to really give it everything for a year. And when I double and triple and quadruple my income, if I don't like it, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before. All right? So I believe that you can do it because someone taught me to do it. So make sure that you change your way and your philosophy, your values, and your belief that money, in my opinion, was God created. It's a tool. And we should use this tool. Use this tool to help other people. I will say one quick thing. I want every one of you to experience when someone reaches out to you and says, I knew there were angels and I found you. Because I believe that God uses people. Doesn't have to. I just think he wants us to experience that. I truly believe that he wants us to be in a financial situation when we can bless somebody and that person believes that God did it. Did you guys hear that? Because God did. So I just want to be one of his warriors and one of his angels. So I love and appreciate you. I believe in you. If no one's giving you permission to be happy and successful, let me do that to you. Take care. Craig can tell you the rest of the schedule, and we're gone for the day.
Wow. What a great message, Robert. Thank you so very, very much. The rest of the schedule. Okay. Tomorrow, Saturday, noon p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, Ask Us Anything, where you get to ask a question to any of us here in our Unlimited Wisdom community. It's a great get-together. Sunday, Master's Mind, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. You got to be there. You got to be there. A great way to end the previous week and start the new week. Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, Recess! Just a nice open forum where we get to catch up with everybody in the community, and there's no real topic. It's just open. Let's chat. That's it. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Daily Wisdom, just like today, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, and then, of course, breakthroughs are Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're doing things every day here on Unlimited Wisdom that you can be a part of. Bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. There are some things in the chat to download. If you want to download those items, click the 3 dots in the meeting chat and then click on Save Chat. It will download to your computer once we conclude this session of Daily Wisdom. So until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye-bye. I'm going to go ahead and unmute so we can all say so long and have a happy Friday.
Thank you so much, Robert.
So long, everybody. Love you.
Jane, Deborah,
Love you.
Pam,
See you tomorrow.
Love you.
Molly,
Great,
see ya. Melody,
great
Michael,
Daily
Angela,
Wisdom.
Kevin, Coach Bob, Deb, Bill. Bill went all the way to this side. CJ, thank you.
I love your
Thank you.
sweatshirt,
Love
Bill.
ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank